Podcast. I am your host for the foreseeable future, Paul. I say foreseeable, sir, help me out here.
Foreseeable.
Yeah, for the future, because Mr. Roars will not be with us for some time. He has some family issues, so I'm roping in like different people to participate in podcasts. And as you can see and you can hear, it's Frankie is now back for the third time. She's going to be like our temporary co-host, and yeah, so we're back. And yeah, please introduce yourself again, like for the people who've never seen or heard you before. You are Your name is Frankie.
Yeah, my name's Frankie, and I'm Paul's sister, and I like video games.
Yeah. We did a podcast a while back. The first one was about archaeology, wasn't it? You did
It's about archaeogaming. Yeah,
archaeogaming. That proved quite popular actually. So we're not talking about archaeogaming, but that in terms of like views and people listening on Spotify, it was pretty good. So but we're not talking about that today. Normally this section will be talking about like gaming news and stuff, but since Roars is not here, we're gonna just like bypass all that, and when I have another co-host or someone else on the podcast, we'll sort of bypass that as well, unless something major happens, like I don't know, a studio acquisition or something like that. We can talk about. But yeah, as you can see, it's we're going to talk about today's subject. It's going to be a bit different from how we normally do it when I do it with Raws. We're going to sort of let it flow a bit more, but we're just going to talk about the like Final Fantasy, because like when you were younger, Frankie, you were really into Final Fantasy, and
yeah.
not so much anymore. I don't think you've played 15, have you? I haven't played it. I own it, but I haven't played it yet. I actually think I own like a special edition version. Actually, no, it's just a standard edition. But let's talk about that, because like there was a time back when you were younger that you were really into the Final Fantasy. Let's just talk about like what got you into it. What game was your favorite in the series, and why you don't play it as, or not into it as much as you were?
Yeah.
Let's just start for like why Final Fantasy? Because Final Fantasy is hugely popular. It's probably one of the most popular game series that's come out of Japan. It's one of those sort of breakout hits that the West really likes. So why did you like it?
So I really wanted to get into. I really like RPGs in general, and I remember I just finished. It was either Jade Empire or it was one of the earlier BioWare games, or it was Knights of the Republic 2 by Expedient Entertainment. And I was looking for other RPGs to play. And I started playing Final Fantasy 7. Was it Final Fantasy 7? No, it was Final Fantasy 8 was the first one I played, with Squall and Renoa and all that. And so I played that, and then I really enjoyed it. And then I started playing and then I played 7, and then I played 9, and then I played 10.
Yeah.
So I just needed to find another kind of outlet.
What do you find it like the differences between, say, like a BioWare game to like a Final Fantasy game?
I think a Final Fantasy game is more narrative. Like it's definitely like more like Final Fantasy is definitely more like a story being told, as opposed, I mean, you get that with BioWare, but with BioWare it's more kind of focused on like character, your main character, as opposed to you put in like designing your character and what's the word, when you can choose everything for your character, there's a word for it,
the character creation,
character creation and like different,
choose
like
gender,
but also like more for gameplay, you like can choose like if it's a rogue, like weapons and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's got definitely more like character.
Well, I think because the Bioware games are was more based on the Dungeons and Dragons rules
Yeah,
than
yeah,
say Final Fantasy
yeah,
was very loosely based on dungeon, because like early games were set in medieval times. Well, it was more dungeon based and
mm,
Dungeons and Dragons based. Obviously, in the say from Final Fantasy V onwards, it got more sort of like set characters and stuff. You couldn't
yeah,
really choose a class or anything like that. Um, so yeah, it's a lot it's different, but I like the differences in it because I play a Bioware game for a certain type of sort of experience, and I play a Final Fantasy game for that sort of experience. You kind of know what you're gonna get with that.
yeah.
Mm.
So um, yeah, no, the word I was looking for was customization. So I feel like the BioWare games were more about like the customization of your own character, whereas like Final Fantasy in general, especially post like Final Fantasy 5 or 6, it was definitely more about like based on the narrative and the story being told, and you just being part of that story.
Mm.
So
When did you
yeah,
when did you stop playing Final Fantasy? Was it when you were like 16, 17?
yeah, I was about 16. I think yeah, I was about 16 because I had played like BioWare when I was like quite young. I was like 15 or 13, and then after it was Final Fantasy. Like I didn't play it. I played it quite later, I would say, than I when I think about it, I wasn't like playing it when I was 10 or 11, I don't think. So I knew about it, but like just looking at it, like I didn't really think I was going to be into it. Not because of it wasn't anything about graphics. It's just like I wasn't really into like Japanese RPGs and stuff like that. Like it wasn't my thing. I was definitely more into Western like role playing games.
Yeah.
So yeah, and but then you just like Final Fantasy 7, as you know, is like the game that got me like got me like obsessed. And it was just such a strong story that I just that's the one that really like I realized I was just like, this is it. This is the game that
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's entry into Final Fantasy was 7. A
yeah,
lot of the sort of gamer hipsters will say 6 is probably the best one.
yeah,
I've not played much. I played a bit of 6, but not a lot of it. But I do like the Terra's theme. It's really good. The
mm,
music is quite good in it. That game I think deserves like a full remake, like in
yeah,
terms of what they've done with 7,
yeah,
with the latest graphics and stuff. I think it would do really well.
mm,
Shame that it's sort of like forgotten about.
yeah,
7 is like sort of like the one that everyone knows and likes, and that's why it's getting that treatment, which I think other Final Fantasy games probably deserve more.
yeah. I mean, I think 7. I honestly think like 7 is their height. I think 7 was like when they started getting into that, like they weren't just following the standard like Dungeons and Dragons or like medieval kind of
No,
setting. They were kind of
just more
being
like
a little bit more creative in their own kind of
it
ideas.
sort of was like not cyberpunk, but like sort of steampunk,
Yeah,
futuristic sort of setting, to oppose to like the old ones where it was all like dungeons and like knights and stuff like that. So
yeah,
yeah, I think it was the big departure, and I think that's their biggest game in the series, 7, like the original one anyway. I think that at the time, like it was boasting great cinematics and like one
mm.
of the most expensive games ever made. And you look back on it, and go, man, this looks like you look at it and you're like, wow, even the cutscenes look like shit. So
Yeah,
like it's weird. Like if you had 7 and then you went on to 8, and 8's cutscenes were much better than 7.
yeah,
And like they actually look like people instead of
mm,
like
mm.
some of like the sort of the blocky look. Even the cutscenes, the gameplay itself, the characters were all blocky. They didn't have right
Yeah,
proportions. Cutscenes, there was a lot of like lot of polygons and stuff in there. But this 8 like was more polished. But yeah, like it was the first 3D um 3D game, so Square Enix or Square Soft probably was just feeling it out and getting to grips with it. But it was very like cinematic. That term gets used a lot, but back then in 2000, not 2097, that was a new thing. So it was like an experience. And of course, spoilers, that was the first time gamers got to the so-called first time they cried, because obviously there was that scene in 7 that still haunts people to this day.
I mean, I think with 7, it's just a really good story. It's like a solid story. Not to say like the other ones don't have a solid story, but like number 7 had something quite unique. Like it was a bit of a social commentary about what was going on in the world at that like current, well, still in our current, lives with climate change and exploitation of the natural worlds and billionaires and corporates essentially running the country or running the world, and I think that was touched, and I think a lot of people connected with that kind of narrative, as opposed to like, oh, we're gonna go save the princess from a dragon. Like it had more substance than, I would say, other RPGs at the time, and something that we could all relate to in our modern kind of current society and kind of political climate that we're now going through, and was starting back at like in the mid-90s. So and then
it's quite relevant to today's like environment, with climate change and exploiting the planet for resources and evil corporations. So it's quite relevant now. I say more relevant than it was.
I would say I would say it's absolutely more relevant. And I think like you have like, and then then you have that more personal storyline with Cloud and Sephiroth, and that kind of makes it more personable. But then you have like all the characters had something to fight for, which was really nice. And
they all had their individual stories and issues to deal with, which they I think they all resolved them. But it was good, man. But like we could go on about 7, but like what would you say? Because you played like all the classic ones, which I think was the peak of Final Fantasy. Like say from 7 to 10. 11 was an MMO, and 12 was quite divisive. I know you played it, but you didn't finish it, right?
I found 12 and 13 in particular, like just in terms of and 12 and 13 in terms of like, first of all, it was like mainly gameplay. Like I thought there was a lot of like glitz, but not really any kind of substance to it.
Which one are we talking about? 12?
Both of them. I mean, I think 12 and 13 were very linear, and
I say 13 is way more linear than 12.
I would definitely.
It was,
but there was
horrible.
I don't think there was any likable. Like I'm trying to think of like, apart from Balthea, like I don't really.
I like Balthea.
Remember any like
very suave and charming.
And it's like Gil's memory.
He was the main character in 12. He was that little punk.
He wasn't really the main character, Jay, was it? It was the princess. It was like
what was his name? Was it Jan or
Oh god. See, like that's how forgettable the game was.
The princess was cool. I liked her.
But it's kind of her story, and he's kind of like.
What's her name again?
Claire. In it.
What was her name? Shit, I can't remember her name.
I'm gonna have to look up the Final Fantasy 12 characters.
Look up because I can't remember. I remember the bunny girl and the knight. The knight guy. Brother.
So you had
and her friend Ash, and his friend Ash. Van, that's it.
Van. It wasn't really his story though. It was like Princess Ash was the main character. Like he had no relevance to the storyline whatsoever. He was just there. It's just really random. And then you had Fran, who was the bunny girl, and then Pinello, who was
Penelope was
like,
the best friend.
yeah, was the best friend. And yeah, I mean, the characters were kind of forgettable, weren't they? And what makes Final Fantasy VII great, much like BioWare, is the characters. So like, if you have forgettable characters, you have a bad Final Fantasy.
Just a sec. Yeah, but I like the. I mean, I did like the combat in 12 because you actually moved around and fought. It was just not random encounters and turn based.
Yeah,
kind of went, that was all 13 was just one big long linear corridor until you get to the open area, like 25 hours into the game, which I never got to. But he was like, "Oh yeah, it opens up." Then I was like, "Yeah, I'm not playing 25 hours of just going down the hall." Switching between character narrative perspectives and stuff. So he's like, I don't even, the whole team didn't even get together until like till you get into the bigger zone area.
And the characters were all really forgettable as well, weren't they? Like they had no, like, I can't even remember half of them. Like
there was Snow, obviously. Lightning, the main character, who was supposed to be the female version of Cloud.
That was her thing, wasn't it? She was just the female version of Cloud. Like she had no substance on her own. She just was like,
used to like.
Why is she the main character? Because she's the female Cloud. Okay, great.
Just punch Snow in the face a lot. There was that guy.
She was very angry. She was very.
There was that black guy who had the chocobo in his hair. I can't remember his name.
Oh God, I forgot.
And the little kid as well. You know, that whingy one, Vanilla.
Oh,
what is it? Whatever his name is. Was it Vanilla? It wasn't Vanilla, but something good. And he had the girl there who was with her. The one with the Australian accent. I can't remember. I just remember she was really annoying. Both of them were really annoying. So I was just like, oh man.
Do you not find all of them really annoying? And I found Snow's relationship with Lightning's sister really like disturbing, because she looked about like they were trying to like palm her off, like she's 18 and she looked like she was 10. Like she looked like a 10-year, she had like a child's body, and there's Snow, this like big grown man. Like it just made me feel really uncomfortable, and it was just like
I did like
Lita kind of style.
Yeah, I did like the scene where they're in when they're flying around together, admiring the fireworks. I thought that was really good. The visuals on that game was fantastic. But I mean, like I can't fault it for its visuals, but the game itself was kind of my watch is telling me to get up and move around. I got one of those like knockoff tip fits sort of, and it's telling me to get up and move, but I can't.
Do you not think like Final Fantasy just got like, it was all about the graphics and the glitz? Like it had no like apart from, oh look how great it looks fun, it had no other redeeming features. Like the characters were poor, the narrative were poor, the gameplay was poor.
No, I like 10 probably my favorite or second favorite game. I really like 10 was good.
Oh my god, couldn't stand Tidus.
I mean, he was annoying. He was annoying.
So annoying.
When I first played, I was like, yeah, this guy's kind of annoying, but he's sort of like, I like the way he narrates his story, and he sounds more mature and more serious. He matures during the game, which I quite like. But at the beginning, he's like this carefree and optimistic sort of guy, and he gets slapped around by the other characters so much.
Yeah.
And I was just playing it again. I was like, yeah, he's getting like what's his name? Waka's like putting him in headlocks and shit. But yeah, I like 10. I thought 10 was good. That looked great. I like the gameplay in that. I
think it stopped at 10. I think it stopped at 10, and I don't know about 15 because I just wiped my hand clean of the franchise until the remake, Final Fantasy VII remake. But I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I've not played 15, and I've seen people play it and watch videos, and I was just like, this is not really. Some people really liked it, some people were indifferent to it, and some people really hated it. So that's what it is with Final Fantasy now. It's just like
it's a bit like Marmite.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it's living off nostalgia now. Like when you like the music of Final Fantasy was something I really liked. Like, and I think that was a big part of why I liked Final Fantasy. I thought the music was really good. Each like game has a few standout tracks in there that I was thinking, wow, this is good. And obviously, like they do their own like orchestra event called Distance Worlds, which I've been to 3 times. You've been to once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really annoyed the last time we went because
that was the first and last time you went, isn't it?
That was the first, because do you remember they just didn't play Aeris's theme tune?
No, they wouldn't, because they were promoting the new game. So
but they played like Sebros theme, and then they were like, oh, because the conductor guy, he was like, so we got a special treat for you. What do you think it is? And I shouted out, Aeris's theme. No. And he went, no. Do you remember? And everyone was like really let down, because that's one of the most famous songs. You can't not play one of the most famous songs.
They did play it when I last went there. They played probably like the greatest hits, because obviously I think they were promoting the 7 remake. This was in 2019, so the game got released the following year. So they were promoting a lot of, like, they played all the bangers from 7, all the big hitters from 10. So that you would have really liked that one, but I think the first time we went was in 2012. I think it was
2012, because I came back from Japan for like that, ironically.
Then I went again a couple of years later. I can't even remember. They played a lot of 13 music from the MMO. Because they were promoting 15 as well, so there was a lot of stuff from that which I didn't really know, but it was still good, man. Like, but yeah, man, it's a shame. Well, not a shame. I mean, it's still going strong. I mean, Final Fantasy VII remake is doing well. Let's talk about a bit of that. What did you think of the remake?
Loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a gate, like I'm a bit of a gatekeeper when it comes to 7. Like it's like I didn't like fan favorites like Crisis Core. I'm not a massive fan of Advent Children.
No, I don't. Retrospectively, I don't. I think it's shit.
Yeah, Advent Children is stupid. In a way, I get it, but like the whole point of the end of the game was like Cloud overcoming his like guilt of Aeris's dying, and like becoming a family, and
to terms of who he is,
and then
himself.
Exactly. And then Advent Children comes out and it's just like, oh, he's depressed.
They really focus on the moody part of Cloud's personality, which I
thought, but the thing,
really that moody.
Cloud is hilarious. Yeah. Cloud is not he's not Zack, which everyone kind of like, oh, Cloud was, he's trying to be like, he was trying to be Zack, and I'm like, no, Cloud isn't a bit of an arsehole in the beginning of number 7, and like that Zack's like all friendly and happy and like a bit annoying, but I didn't like Crisis Core. I wasn't a big fan of Advent Children. I didn't like Dirge of Cerberus.
Do you know that? Do you know Seven's getting a remaster? No, Crisis Core is getting a remaster,
which is ridiculous. I think it's getting a bit of a cash cow now, isn't it? It's just,
well, some people really like it, even though like I don't think a lot of people played it because it was a PSP exclusive. It's coming out on all platforms as well. So
I just thought, I thought like, oh, Zack in the original game came a bit of a fan favorite, and then they were like, oh, he's great, he wants to be a hero, and it's like, if he wants to be a hero, why is he working for the most evil company in the essentially in the world? And he's like, this is what heroes are made of. And it's like, you do realize you're a soldier working for Shinra, doing the dirty work.
It's their private army as well, so it's like army of super soldiers. So
he did not make it. Like, I was like, how naive are you making this character, because he was not like this in the original game. And like, I think they overplayed his relationship with Aeris to a point, I think he like in the original game he didn't seem that bothered about Iris, and then suddenly it became this huge love story, which is like just wasn't in the original game, and was just like kind of, you know, when you have to kind of pad things out to make it more kind of, you know, I don't know, relative, and make fans want to like the character, is they completely destroyed his character. Like he's not like that.
They do that in Crisis Core, because they obviously that's like a significant part of the game, of his relationship with Eris. But it looks like in the remake he might be alive because he survived the assault, which kind of confused me. So I was like, oh, so he's alive in an alternative reality. Isn't the remake an alternative take on the game now?
Yeah,
what's going on? It's just got really like convoluted. I was like, oh.
But I quite like that, because I was speaking to Ali about it, and I was like, who really, like, you got the original game, you always have the original game. So if you want to play the original game, by all means, it hasn't like stopped.
Yeah,
stopped.
I don't think a lot of younger gamers will like it. They'll be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, but like
shit.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, well, no, because like people play on their phones all the time, and that's like essentially the same thing. You can play Final Fantasy VII on your phone, and like it's not always about graphics. Some of the best looking games are the worst.
Is it gonna really like the Gen Zers can really look at that and go, yeah, I want to play this. This looks like shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, look at some of the, you know, it's the same with movies, right? Some of the best movies, like, still are the ones made in the 70s, and the ones made like in the early 80s. A
lot of them have remakes now, though.
Yeah, but nobody cares about the remakes. So, I mean, look at like the special effects in some of like the first like sci-fis, like Star Wars, you know, that holds up pretty well. But in our today's standard, it looks like, you know, that's why it's been remastered so many times. And I just think those are still the best. And like I think we're, you know, people like to kind of put down Gen Z a little bit, like, oh, it's not shiny enough for Gen Z. But I think they're capable of understanding a good plot and good characters without having the kind of, you know,
you would hope so,
gloss of good graphics. You know,
we're going to be right back in a sec, and we're back. So like yeah, you liked the remake, right? I know Mr. Rawls didn't like it. But are you looking forward to the Rebirth, I think it's called, part 2 of the...
yeah, I want to see I want to see where it goes.
Have you not seen any of the trailers?
No, I haven't really been that like invested so far.
Talk about investing or investment. You need a PlayStation 5 because it's an exclusive.
Yeah.
When I saw the announcement, I was expecting the Xbox version of Remake to be announced. Didn't happen, so it looked like it might never come on, even though it's a timed exclusive. It's a timed exclusive deal with PlayStation, but Sony are sort of like trying to keep it off other platforms.
Yeah, it's a money maker, isn't it?
Yeah, it's money hatting, so they're trying to keep that off the platforms for the time being. I reckon it will be exclusive PlayStation, all 3, because it's going to be 3 parts, all 3. And once that's all 3 are out, they'll release a trilogy.
Yeah,
it will then come to other platforms, but probably won't be for another 5 or 6 years.
I know. I don't like this. I don't like exclusivity really in games.
I don't mind, because they don't own Square Enix. They're just basically I don't really want to get into it, but Sony money hat certain things to keep them off certain platforms. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing this generation. Like Microsoft, they've been buying a lot of studios, and Sony, it's more cost effective for them to buy titles and for exclusive time and keep it off other platforms.
Yeah, they can't compete with Microsoft's money.
Well, there's a difference between a $1 billion company and a $1 trillion company, which is, so they can afford to splash out on studios and buy all this, but that's a subject and that's a topic for somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, like I'm quite intrigued. I mean, I would have to buy a PlayStation 5. I don't think it's coming out on PC. That probably won't come out on PC for another 2 years, similar to what it did for Remake. It came out on PC on Epic Store. That deal ran out. Now it's out on Steam. It's come out like a couple of months ago. I think that's what they're going to do with Rebirth. But yeah, I think it's going to go on a completely different, on its own thing now. So I don't know if I'm gonna. It's not gonna. Everything it's not gonna be how it's gonna be. So certain scenes might not happen, or someone else could die. I mean, it was hinted that maybe Tifa might be like the one. Could
that's not gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen.
But there's also there's you played Final Fantasy 9, right?
Yeah,
you played that. I think that's getting
my favorite. It's one of my favorites. It's my second favorite after 7.
I've never really gave it a chance. I think I should actually play it.
Oh, you'll love it. It's so, I don't know, after 7, after 7 and 8, it was nice to get back to that kind of medieval setting, and the characters are all just so likable. So it's it had a really strong storyline, and it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't just, you kind of played 7 and 8, and especially with 8 really annoyed me in terms of the characters. I just didn't find any of them really likable.
He's a bit of an arsehole, wasn't he?
He's a bit of an arsehole, and they're like, oh, Squall, you have just saved the day, the whole world, and it's this 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, I never got that. He went to school. We went to that school, and his teacher was a year older than him.
Older than him, yeah.
How does that make any sense? Or she's a genius. Yeah. I was like, I don't care.
I don't care.
She's 18.
They're really ageist.
Yeah, I was like, why can't you have her in her 30s, man? What's wrong with why does everyone have to be in a Final Fantasy 7 characters are probably the oldest,
out of all of them, yeah.
Yeah, they were in their 20s. Cloud was 21. I think Tifa was 22 or something like that. So
yeah, no, Tifa was younger. She was 20.
Yeah, and Aeris was 18, 19. Barrett. Yeah, Barrett was in his 30s.
35, yeah.
And Vincent was I don't know, he's he was 40 or something like that.
He's a vampire, so well, not a vampire. What am I talking about?
Well, you find him in a coffin, though. So
yeah, sorry, he was not a vampire. He was ageless.
Stupid cape as well.
Yeah, I didn't like Vincent. I thought he was a bit crap.
Yeah, Yuffie and Vincent won't be optional in the remake. They got to be in it. They'll have the story. So yeah, there'll be cutscenes with them in it, which is pretty good. I don't know, but yeah, that's getting a remake. Number 9, I think it's getting a remake. I'm pretty sure that's getting a remake, so that'll be interesting. Don't know if Sony are gonna pay for the exclusivity like they did with 7 and keep it off other platforms. Probably gonna do that. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see, man. There's talk of Sony buying. Well, people want Sony to buy Square Enix because they sold off a lot of their Western studios. The two major ones. So, this, I can't remember the name of the company. It's some massive conglomeration. Sold that off, so they're trying to make it more appealing for Sony to come in and buy it. That's what people are thinking. But Sony are happy with what the arrangement they got now, because it's not only Xbox, Nintendo have a lot of games that Sony make for their platform as well. So denying them that the games that Square Enix make for the Switch. But yeah, it's a sad situation, because I do like Final Fantasy, and I would prefer it to be on every platform. People would say it's a PlayStation game. I was like, no.
Well, it was originally a Nintendo game, so
Nintendo first. So
yeah,
6 of them came out in there. So, and when PlayStation had it, wasn't many competitors. That their Xbox wasn't around and anything like that, and Sega were just slowly falling off.
Yeah.
But yeah, and anything why let's talk. Why don't you seem to play? Are you just growing out of it, or are you not?
What, Final Fantasy, or just games? I think
Final Fantasy? Because I know you still play the old games. You're not as much as you used to, maybe because we haven't got the time. You got other interests. I find myself playing less than I used to. The only time I seem to play really is when I'm streaming or when the really big games come out. When we did 7 and the Last
remake,
of Us 2 and all that. That's when I seem to play, or horror games. But for leisure time, I don't play as much as I used to.
Yeah,
I own pretty much everything, but I play less than what I did back in the day.
To be honest with you, I know this sounds really like it's kind of like a pathetic excuse, but like I don't really like Final Fantasy's always had like these teen 16 17-year-old like say like savior characters, and like I don't really, that doesn't really like appeal to me. Like it I don't want to play a 16-year-old, I don't want to play a 17-year-old, and like they have all this experience and they're so skilled. Like what 16-year-old is that skilled and that like self-aware? Not many. And it's just like I'm kind of sick of playing. Like after 10 it was okay, and then 12 came out and I was like, they were all still like 18 19, and it's just like that doesn't like, I don't want to play teenagers, especially being in my 30s now. It's kind of like nah.
15, the main protagonist, the prince, what's his name? I can't remember his name. He's a teenager, but he's got because do you know much about 15?
No, I don't really. I stopped caring because it like took like 20 years to come out, didn't it?
Well, it was supposed to be like a spin-off of 13, like extra content for that, and then it developed into its own game. What was it called? Was it called Final Fantasy 13 Versus? Or
that's the one. I remember that's when I was invested.
And then it came its own full game. But yeah, that it's Noctis. Noctis is his name.
Oh yeah, Noctis.
I think he's like,
and Stella. That's when I remember it. Like
Stella's the girl he's engaged to, I think. But yeah, he's 16, 17. He has advisors and they're older, but
like who wants to play a 16, 17-year-old? Like
16,
not
17-year-olds. That's what they appeal for the younger audiences. They need to get like younger gamers, because we're all aging out. Like having jobs and families and shit like that.
The one thing I didn't like about 15 as well was a bit of a sausage fest, wasn't it? It was a bit like
I was just
like where's the female characters?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, wow, there's not one lead female character in it. It's four blokes, and they're all hanging out in a car.
It's like a BTS kind of like.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, I think that's maybe what they were going for. I mean, like, a lot of young girls like to play it. They sort of like simp for these guys and make like really like horny dojins of it. So
boring.
I mean, like you read a few dojins of 7, didn't you?
Oh, didn't she? Yeah, I did. I have to admit, it was mostly like Aerith and Tifa romance stories because I shot them together.
Because like you were really into Final Fantasy, especially 7, because you cosplayed
Tifa. Yeah.
I think your first ever cosplay you did was Avon Children Tifa.
Yeah, it was Avon Children. Yeah, I bought it off eBay.
Yeah, didn't you went to Japan and you have your friend, the American girl you were living with.
Yeah, Ali.
She was into Final Fantasy as well, so that kind
of still really into it.
Yeah. So she that's what probably made you good friends, right?
Yeah, I think she like thought of me as a completely like different type of person. She thought I was a bit of a mean girl, and then like I'm actually really. Well, back then I was super like nerdy, like geeky and into like video games and stuff, and that's how we kind of like bonded, and that's how like a lot of my friends in Japan that I made, we bonded through video games and anime.
That's another thing you don't really watch anymore. You don't watch any anime anymore. I
watched I'm still into Ghibli. Like Ghibli is still my thing.
You like the big films though, don't you? Like
I like Your Name, A Silent Voice. I like the slice of life stuff. I like The House Husband, and I like I like What's his name?
What was the one with the rain we watched recently? The girl.
Oh, Weathering with You.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty good.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I like those kind of, and I like the cat whiskers from not whispers from the heart. That's Ghibli.
That's Ghibli. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a couple of cat ones. Yeah, I
Oh
really.
yeah, what was that? What was that cat one where the girl turns into a cat?
Yeah, it's kind of like the cat returns, but not really.
Yeah,
It was like
I can't remember. It was
it's like Whiskers Away or something. Whiskers Away or something. I don't know. It was something like that.
It was very Ghibli-esque, but it wasn't by Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, but the female characters. Remember, we were like really getting irritated with her.
Yeah, she was.
You remember?
Hard on that boy.
Oh
Couldn't
god,
leave him alone. It's just like Jesus, stop being so weird.
yeah, she was a bit weird.
I mean, like as you can see from my background here, these are mostly retro games, like from what I bought and shit, and they've got some anime and figures up here. So I'm still quite. If you look at my room, you think it's very otaku and shit, and yours is more mature and shit. You got some artwork there behind you to my right.
That's Hiroshige. He's a block artist. But I have Totoro. I have lots of Spirited Away stuff.
So you still enjoy this sort of thing, but you're not like overtly into like you like the little like.
Yeah, I think like like the kind of anime you like and your friends like doesn't appeal to me anymore. Like I don't really want to watch like people blast like things through their hands and
to be fair, I don't watch as much as I used to either.
Yeah,
there was a period where I would say from 2012 to 15. You remember that time I was sort of like a bit like not depressed, but I was going through something, and then I was just watching anime after anime. From certain websites and shit.
It was like those like streaming ones
before like Crunchyroll was available and like
Netflix.
Funimation and Netflix. So I had to get it some way somehow. So I was really like watching. I don't watch as much as I used to. Like even when I have free time, I'm just like I could do something else, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
it's just like the fact
I don't think there's like man. I don't think it's that, right? I think like the last like couple of animes I watched, apart from Your Name, and I really liked Weathering with You and some of the others, and I like Komi Can't Communicate. I quite like that one.
Oh, you watched that?
Yeah, I did, because I like the slice of life ones. I don't really like the ones where people are like fighting with samurai, like with like katanas and stuff. It's not my thing.
Shojin.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't like Naruto. I wasn't really that much into Bleach. I didn't like Death Note. I mean, those are the ones just off the top of my head. Like, I really like the Ghibli-esque kind of style ones. Like, I really like Ghibli. But even Ghibli, I mean, the last one, what was The Wind Rises or something? It was so boring.
There was another one after that. I'm pretty sure there was another one. Like, I like Ghibli, but I was never really into. I preferred the fantasy over the real slice of life ones because I found them so boring. The only one I didn't really find boring was a Whisper of the Heart, which
that's great though.
I probably put that in my top 5 Ghibli films. But like I liked Mononoke and Spirited Away.
I like Spirit. I like it when it's got that magic. It's like, what's it called? Magic realism, or it's like set in our real world, but it has a magical element, like Spirited Away, fantasy. Or Your Name, or like they're set in the real world, but they have like this magic thing.
I quite like I prefer a silent voice over Your Name.
Oh, I love silent voice, and I liked. Do you remember The Girl Who Leapt Through Time? Yeah, that was.
That was one of your favorites, wasn't it?
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone off from talking from Final Fantasy to
Final Fantasy, but like I think it's like kind of connected, right? I mean, like I don't know. What's the last anime you watched recently? Yeah.
There was one I watched recently.
You watching like Spy Family or Family Spy?
I was watching Spy Family, and Crunchyroll decided to make that premium, so you have to pay for it. So,
okay.
I was just like, I used to pay for Control, but there's so many things I pay for now.
Yeah.
I was like, I can do without that for now. I could always watch
Yeah.
it illegally, but I would rather help the the industry out. But I was like,
Mm.
oh man, another thing I have to pay for. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was watching Odd Taxi, which is really good.
All right. I might have to start watching it again because I still like I'm not like adverse to anime. I find that like all video games, all Final Fantasy, I just haven't enjoyed the stuff I used to like when I was 16 or 17 to what like I like
You
now
were really
because
into
my
it. You were really into it until your mid 20s, because I remember you used to buy like a lot of girls, a lot of people who like that used to buy the trinkets and shit, and
yeah.
necklaces and little buster sword and little gun
Mm,
swords, stuff
yeah.
that look quite tacky now. I mean, like there was
Yeah.
a lot of Final Fantasy 7 stuff that you bought was like like the tack, like
But I
yeah, and I think we still got some of it, but you don't want it anymore. It's like
no, not really. I don't really. I mean, like there are like video like so I have like still got video game stuff in my room, but it's not as obvious. Like if you go in your room, it's just like
you
a
can see.
top you heaven. But like if you go in,
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
like figurines. But like I've got the Dragon Age thing you got me for my birthday. Like
Mm,
if you saw this standing on the
mm.
fireplace, you'd be like, what is that? It doesn't look like a video game thing, but it is. Like my kind of video game stuff is kind of hidden. It's like there, but it's not obvious. And like Dominic like made me the Tangled stuff, so it's like Untangled or Unraveled.
Yeah.
The characters from that I have the up
Oh
there.
yeah, the PlayStation game. I mean, yeah, you can
Yeah.
see from I got like figurines of Persona 4. Got one
Yeah.
there of Ray from Neon Genesis,
Yeah.
um, which I think I won in Japan the first time I went there with you to visit you. I got
Mm.
that on that crane machine that I spent so much money on. I could have just bought it outright, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was that. I think I got that in Kyoto actually. Might have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I guess that's what happens, man. Your tastes change. You get older. You don't really like. I've been thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, maybe I got like, I don't buy as much as I used to. I try and tone it down. I'm trying to tone it down a bit. Um, so I'll probably like um. I don't buy as many t-shirts as I used to. Like,
Oh my gosh, I remember you always was in an anime t-shirt. You always had
well,
like
anime and video game
yeah, you always
t-shirts.
had a t-shirt.
I don't have that many anymore. I
Mm.
still like some of it, but I can't really. I can't like if I go to a pub, right, and I'm there rocking a like anime t-shirt into an old man's geezer pub. I'm like, oh, this could get a bit. This could be a bit, especially when you get older. People just be like, what the hell are you wearing that for,
I
man?
think it's also like when you're, going for a date, right?
Oh no,
Like
I
if
wouldn't wear that for a date, man.
I know, but
Hell
like
no.
I used to, but like, could you imagine going to a date and like having a Final Fantasy t-shirt on, and you're just a bit like, oh, and I know people are gonna be like, well, if that's the true you, like you do you, but at the same time, it's like that
Yeah,
is really that's super nerdy.
yeah. The merchandising is like crazy now. It's just like
Hmm.
everything is branded and shit. I'm just like I'm not
Yeah.
really that into that stuff. It's like I'd
Mm.
rather not spend. And like the people who spend their money, and they obviously the younger, like maybe they got a part-time job and they're just buying stuff that the franchises they really like. There's a lot of people who like Kingdom Hearts, and I want to do another podcast about like my overrated franchises in video games, which I might do with
Kingdom Hearts is
you.
so
Yeah,
overrated.
I think it's overrated. Well, that's what I think. I want to say it now. I think it's fucking overrated and not that good. So, but I want to do a podcast of that, mate. I want to talk about our most overrated franchises. Might do that with you, or if
Yeah,
Liz
I
comes back,
mean,
like I could do that, or with other people.
it's
But
blasphemous, but Halo is overrated.
ooh, ouch,
I know that hurt
ouch,
your yeah.
ouch,
I
very
love
ouch.
1 to 3 and then Reach, and then after that it just got
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that was made because that was made by the original studio, Bungie, which
Yeah.
now is owned by Sony. Funny enough, so it's
It
they
all
bought
comes
it.
full circle.
Yeah, they bought it, even though like Bungie don't make Halo anymore; they make Destiny, but that's still being released on all platforms. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I mean, like, I could talk about that, but yeah, like, because like when you were really into Final Fantasy, you were in university.
Yeah.
I think that's when you were heavily into video games, because you were
Yeah, that was like the peak.
yeah, you're buying like PlayStation you had
Yeah.
PlayStation 2, 360.
Yeah, I had all of them.
Yeah, I don't know if you had the Nintendo console, but
Yeah, nobody had a Nintendo console.
yeah, kind of
it
like
was like the GameCube or something, wasn't it?
yeah,
Or,
no one had
yeah.
that. Now it's had a resurgence with the Switch.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, less Nintendo always seems to do that. They release like a dud
Mm.
console, and then the following console is really good, because like the Wii was really good. Then the Wii U came out, it was shit, and no one bought that. And then they released the Switch, and everyone wants that. Even though like the Switch is good, I like the novel. I don't barely play it, to be honest. I've got so many unopened games, and I just like, yeah.
No, but that's the thing, and that's what I don't like about, like, do you not feel like when you play video games, like, this is why I say, I don't say I'm a gamer anymore. I just say like I casually play games, because like, yeah, and it's not because I play like casual games. Like, I'll play like an RPG, which nobody's heard of, because I don't like playing with other people. Like, I just don't like this whole like socialite. Like, gaming's not for socializing. Gaming is like to being in the dark by yourself. No, which is but like I just I don't know. I feel like it was such like a hard. It was such like a. It was so hard to keep up with, like playing the latest video games and knowing this franchise and knowing this. How have you played this game? And it was like, the more I like stepped away from it, the more I like didn't keep up with. The more I didn't keep up, the more I felt like I was like failing as somebody within this community. And then I was just like, you know what, I'm no longer in this community, I'm going to step out. And now I don't feel like super like,
yeah,
oh, do I have to,
you used to attend MCM and stuff, like things like that, but you don't really bothered about that anymore, eh?
No, because like, and this is not because of like not liking the franchise, like not liking games or anime or whatever. It's because I find MCM a little bit of a glorified marketplace. I don't think it's just one big marketplace. And the things I enjoy about MCM are like the artist alley, where people sell their own art. That's the only thing I enjoy. And then all the rest is like shit from China. Yeah. That they're paying like 40 quid, where you could buy it for like 20 quid on AliExpress or something.
I went to the most recent MCM, and it was wall to wall, shoulder to shoulder people. It's too much. Yeah. Remember when we first went, it wasn't called MCM, it was called something. It was like the Comic Con.
It was the London Expo. It was it was the London.
That's when you first. It was like, I think that was in 2005 or something like that.
Yeah, we went.
It was empty. There was barely anyone there. I remember it was like you could literally swing a cat around here.
Yeah.
I liked it because you can walk around little shops. There was more activities for people to do.
But that's when like being a geek and being a nerd was kind of like frowned upon. Do you know what I mean? Like, now it's cool to be a geek and a nerd, and like,
yeah, a lot more people who went there back then were our age. Now they're older, they bring their families there. I see a lot of people bringing their families, and stuff like that there, because it's not, they've all grown up with that, and now they're bringing their families there. And now it is like it was suffocating the last time I was there. It was just too many people.
Yeah.
And because of the pandemic, they restricted the space, so we were all bunched up, and the management there was just terrible. And yeah, I mean, would you go to a distance world again?
No,
you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't go. I remember I took you to that Tomb Raider concert. It was the Tomb Raider suite. It was, and like after that, I was like, I don't think I'm going to go to a video game thing again, just because
you didn't go to the Zelda one, did you?
No.
I went there with Dom.
Yeah.
But you won't see any of these music ones again.
No, because I really do like orchestrated music. Maybe if it was like, I am going to My Neighbor Totoro. They're doing a musical of that, like an actual performance of the movie. I know you're not a big fan of it, but that's something that appeals to me, like sitting down and listening to, because you don't like, like all the songs, like there's a couple of songs from the original Tomb Raider that I like, and then they were playing like the same song over, and I was like a different, remember it was like the same song but a different variation, and you were like,
different key.
Yeah, I was like, haven't we heard this like 4 or 5 times already?
Tomb Raider, it was mostly for the new Tomb Raider as well, wasn't it?
No, it was the old one. It didn't have any of the new. It didn't have any of the new songs on it.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. It was in Hammersmith, I think it was.
Yeah.
There was barely anyone there as well. We moved seats closer to the
stage. Yeah.
So we're like, oh, there's no one there. Let's go and move a bit closer.
Let's move up when we moved up. But yeah, I mean, nah, I don't think I'll go to that again.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Unless you have anything else you want to mention. Anything cool?
I think there's a lot of things, like in terms of Final Fantasy, I'd still say I'm a fan of Final Fantasy. I think they found the one formula, and they've repeated it over and over again, and I think there needs to be a little bit more innovation going on.
Have you seen 16? That looks different.
Does it? I hope so.
That's gone back to its medieval sort of fantasy roots.
Yeah.
It plays a lot different in that as well. So again, I think that's PlayStation exclusive for timed exclusive as well. I think so. Sony are really like trying to be the home of PlayStation of Final Fantasy without actually owning Final Fantasy.
I think, I don't know what if you would agree, but I think the stuff that's coming, like the innovative stuff, it's not exactly probably the most enjoyable to play, but the stuff that's coming out differently from the independent studios, like the smaller studios. I like the games I've kind of like, oh, that's a bit different. They're doing something a bit different to what's going on in the mainstream.
Well, Final Fantasy has to cater for a certain audience, and it's a big game, and it has to make a lot of money, so it has to sort of cater for the old audience and entice newer players to come into it. But yeah, I think we're gonna leave it there. What about? Would you like to plug anything? Social media? Do you have anything you want to?
Yeah, I run a blog which is archaeoblog.com, and it's mostly about archaeology in the mainstream media, and that covers video games, and it covers anime, movies like Indiana Jones and stuff like that. So if you are like a nerd and a geek and you like history and all that academic stuff, then have a look.
Okay, well,
that's it.
I'll put that in the description, the link to your website. So yeah,
great, thank you
for joining me, and hopefully Mr. Rawls will be back in a month or so. He's got some personal things he needs to sort out with his family, so we wish them the very best, and can't wait to see them again. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening.
Thanks.
And we'll see you again.
Bye-bye.